Hey, this is Message from the Master. My name is Philip Himes. I'm the Worship Master of League City Lodge, and we're going to get right to it today. So really quickly, we had the Christmas dinner, had to get canceled because we had problems with the plumbing. That basically got fixed. It was pretty spendy, so we need to continue to do our fundraisers for the building fund and make sure that we replenish that. Speaking of that, in March we're going to be doing a garage sale, date to be determined. Brother Munson will take care of getting that information out to you guys when we've settled in on a day for that. But really quickly, kind of going back, we had the Christmas dinner was canceled, but we had the parade. That went over really, really well. We had a record number of people come to our booth and buy some stuff, some food from Brother Farquhar and Brother Carter, who did a phenomenal job out there, and it was great. We also got a donation from Brother Kopp's wife, who was selling out front of our little area, hot chocolate bombs. They gave us $100. So in total, we cleared just a little over $1,000, which is a really good weekend for the Christmas parade. Prior to that, we've basically been doing the study night. That's been really popular, really talking. We're doing the round robin with esoterical. This month, we're really going to try to do more of the conferring and learning the stations. I highly recommend that you get out there and take a station. Don't let fear keep you from learning and practicing. Nobody is perfect at this. Nobody knows it word for word. And even those who know it really, really well mess up. So don't keep that from you getting out there, taking a station, taking a role, and participating in that and trying to learn. So we're going to continue to do the Entered Apprentice over this month and continue to do study night. So last night we had a really good study night. We did open and close of an EA lodge. We did EA conferring, and I stumbled through the lecture. So it was a good time. So the next thing I want to talk about is Masonic education. The last data meeting, actually, I covered the Allegory of the Cave. And really that's a story from going from darkness to light. And I just kind of introduced it to you. So I'm going to go over that today, so I can catch everybody up that didn't make it to the meeting, because I'm going to go over the second part of that, and that's where you really get the meat of what Socrates and Glaucon were talking about in the book that basically Plato wrote in 380 BC. So Plato was a student of Socrates, and Socrates and Glaucon had a dialogue, and in the dialogue Socrates is explaining society to him, and it's through this allegory called the Allegory of the Cave. So I'm going to do that now. All right, so in our last meeting we talked about the Allegory of the Cave, and I introduced you to the basic fundamentals of that. And I'm going to go back over that because on January 6th I'm going to kind of go into the lessons that you learned from this. Although we did discuss them just a little bit. There's a lot more to it, and I want to make sure that we can get through it all. How to do it in two parts, because you can't get all this information in a 15-minute window. So this is the Allegory of the Cave. It's really about going from darkness to light, which is kind of what we do as Masons. So it kind of works really well. So this story was written by Plato in 380 AD. No, 380 BC, actually before Christ. And it's a dialogue between Socrates and Glaucon, his student. And they're basically talking about society and where things are with the average person in society, and what their reality is and everything. So really quickly, Socrates starts out with describing this cave of misunderstanding, if you will. And he basically says, you know what, it's a cave, and at the bottom of this cave you have some people, and these people have been down there since birth, and they can only look straight forward. They cannot look left or right. They can look straight forward towards the back of the cave. And then behind them is a wall. And in that wall are people, behind that wall are people, and they're acting as puppeteers, if you will, with different objects that they're holding up. And these objects aren't the real thing, they're representations of the thing. So they show like a cutout of a cat or a dog, or they show, a table or a statue, figurine or something of a person. And they show these things, and they're cast from the fire that's behind them. The light casts the shadow out here, and this becomes their reality down here. Now, these people down there, they can actually talk to each other. They just can't look at each other. So basically, what they're doing is they're naming each of the things as they come along, and the reason why they do that is because they want to identify it, and it's their world. So they're trying to identify and gain control of their world. That's the whole purpose. See, when we can't have any kind of control over our situation, we get in a panic mode. So these people down here, they're really trying to control their world by naming the objects. And as they name the objects, the people that are better at spotting the objects and naming them right the first time, they kind of grow a little or become more important in the hierarchy of these people that are down here. And it's very important to them because that is their whole world. So the shadows, or the shadow, is their reality. And eventually one of these people get let loose. Now Plato doesn't tell you how they get loose, but they get let loose. And he turns around and he looks and he sees the fire and it bothers his eyes. And he can barely make out what this is, but he's frightened out of his mind. This is changing his whole world, and his whole perception about reality is changing almost instantaneously. So he has to actually be compelled to come over. So hey, this guy over here say, come with me, come with me. And he compels them to kind of come out, and he gets out here into the light, into the sunlight. And it's so bright he cannot look directly at anything. He can only see things in reflections. So the first things he sees is actually at night, where he sees the stars and the moon in the reflection of the water. And then he sees the birds during the day, and then a tree, and then people. And eventually he works his way to where he can look directly at the sun and see the sun for its glory. He feels the warmth, but he can actually see it now, and he looks at it. So then he finally figures out that, hey, this is the real world up here. So I need to go down and tell these people, because they're missing it. They don't get all this wonderful stuff up here. They're down here, and they believe something that's totally bogus. So he travels back down because he's a good guy, right? So he travels back down. He takes his seat where he was. He stumbles over people because his eyes are all messed up and he can't see as well. And then as they continue to play the game of naming, as things are being brought across, he can't name them as well because his vision isn't as good as it used to be. So he seems defective to them, if you will, because he can't participate in society the way they anticipate people should. So they start talking behind his back, and they say, hey, listen, you know what? No one else is going to leave this cave. And if they try to, we're going to kill him. And if he continues to, say this blasphemy, if you will, we're going to get rid of him too. So these people they want to stay where they're at because they want to stay in their comfort zone, right? So what does this tell us as society? First off, who are these people, right? Who are these people? Plato says they are us. They are you and me. Us. And Plato says that this is where, most people are. Most people are in this shadow of reality. They don't know the whole truth. They lack the intellectual wisdom to kind of know what's going on up here, if you will. And they are easily misled, right? So that's who these people are. And Plato says they're us. So what do we do with this information? Now, this is only half of the story, right? This is only, I outlined, introduced half the story. But what can we take from this? Well, we can understand that, a lot of stuff that we hear and see and we're told to be true might not be true, right? And if that's the case, how do we figure out the truth? Well, Plato says to use logic and reason. And if you know the Socratic method, basically what the Socratic method is when they ask questions about a situation until they start to contradict each other. And then that guides you down towards a path of truth, if you will. And you kind of move away from the contradictions and you kind of keep asking questions until you figure out what the truth is based on your limited knowledge. Now, these people down here, before the guy left, they had no other reference point. But when he came back down there and he told them that, hey, you know what? There's a sun out there. There are trees, people, birds, and all these things that we think are trees, people, and birds aren't the real deal. Now they have an opportunity to use the scientific method or Socratic method to question him to determine if he's contradictory in his statements, to see if what he is saying is true, right? So, but they choose not to do that. Why? Because as human beings, we don't want to sometimes shake up the apple cart, if you will. We want to stay right where we're at. We want to stay where we're comfortable, right? I mean, remember, everybody thought the world was flat for so long. In fact, when Galileo basically said, hey, listen, we rotate around the sun, he got basically imprisoned by the Catholic Church. So this is not an exaggeration of what could happen or what even is happening right now that we just don't know it's happening. So what does this information do for us as Masons? Well, hopefully it'll make you stop and think just a little bit. Hopefully it'll make you say, ask some questions about things that seem a little bit off to you, right? And when someone comes and tells you something that they say is true, that you take a moment to use logic and reason to make sure that what they're saying is true. Now, in our meeting on January 6th, we're really going to talk about more about these guys down here. We're also going to talk about who this person is. And what is this progress from darkness to light? What is it actually? What is the purpose of it? And should we go through it? That's what we're going to talk about on January 6th. So hopefully you come to my stated meeting. I look forward to seeing all the brothers there. And I really look forward to seeing you. I really look forward to, we had a lot of people in our last meeting. Hopefully we'll see a whole bunch of more people there. So hopefully this was helpful. It actually gets much better after this. So please come to the meeting. I can't wait to share this with you guys. Take care. Bye. All right, so let's go to the trestle board. If you're not getting the trestle board, make sure you get our email to us. If you have Facebook, you can go on Facebook and click on the little link that we have in there to sign up for our newsletter. But if you don't have Facebook, just give us your email address. We'll make sure it gets out to you. Also, you need to make sure you put the junior warden email address into your contact. So it's juniorwardenleaguecitylodge@gmail.com. Make sure you put that, or JW League City Lodge at gmail.com. Make sure you put that into your contacts. That way it doesn't go to your spam. Okay, so let's get right into it. So if you should have got your trestle board last night. On the January 6th, we're going to do a few things. One, we're going to go over all the resolutions and stuff for Grand Lodge, cover everything in there, take a vote as a lodge to see how you want me to vote for those items that they have going on. Another thing is we're going to finish up the Allegory of the Cave. We're going to talk about who the people are in there, what are the different phases in there, and how they relate to you, and how that's going to make you a better man by having this information. See, being a better man is about having more wisdom, if you will. The next thing is we've got a study night on Monday the 10th. Again, you'll want to participate. Make sure you get there and do something. Try a new position, or if you're working on a position, take that position again and work your way until you know every part of the degree. Thursday night, the 20th, we're going to be dark because that's when we're going to be going to Grand Lodge. It's the 20th, 21st, and 22nd, and we won't have Lodge that night on the 20th, so have a good time with your family that night. On Monday the 31st, on Saturday the 29th, there's going to be the Order of the Sword of Bunker Hill. I believe it's some kind of a degree, and they're going to be doing that from 12 to 5 p.m. I need to figure out if we need to have a meal for them. I'm going to call Brad Billings and see if he wants us to provide a meal at 5 o'clock for him, or a lunch, or what have you, and let us know kind of what we want to do. But I think that'd be kind of good for you guys to come out to. Also, that same day in the morning, there's going to be a grand communication at South Shore, and I really need every one of my officers for Vanguard to attend that. So I'll be there for that, and then follow up with the lodge at 12. So when there's more information about that communication happening at South Shore Harbor, I'll let you know. And then finally on the 31st, again, we have our study night on Monday, and that will be at 6 p.m. It will be dinner, and then 7 p.m. we'll do our study program. And then finally what I want to talk about is Sweethearts and Widows Night. We're going to have that on the 11th of February, which is a Friday. And I'm going to be cooking, so we're going to probably do some steaks and some kind of a chicken for you to choose from, and probably do a rice pilaf or maybe risotto, and maybe some kind of a potato, and then some steamed vegetables. And then we'll get some great cake or something for the night for dessert. So that should be a great night. We had to skip our Christmas dinner, so we're really pouring everything into this Sweethearts Night. There will be a program, so we're going to eat, do some fellowship, and then after that we're going to do a little open meeting so everybody can come in, and we're kind of do a tribute to our wives and the widows of our fallen brothers. Okay, so that's it in a nutshell. Hopefully you like this video. I'm gonna try to do one of these once a month, at least cover our education. I'm really gonna push on Masonic education outside the things that we can put on a video. I can't do the esoterical work or anything like that, but I can do stuff like this that actually kind of correlates with the Masonic beliefs. And honestly, Masons basically took ancient wisdom and incorporated it into what we do today. And this ancient wisdom is the same, has the same meaning, if you will, all the way through Masonry. So if we can take something from Plato and incorporate it in our lives and it relates to Masonry, I think that's a good thing. So, but we'll also do stuff like I really want to do the story of Boaz in the book of Ruth. I think that's a good story. It's really good about having an example of a man who basically defies group norms, if you will, or conventional thinking, and does something outside the realm and actually challenges the belief system to finally, at the end, marry Ruth. But those are the kind of things I'm looking forward to doing to help us become better men, and hopefully you can apply those things and see improvement in your life. That's what it's all about for me. So take care and have a great day.